Hello YouTube, welcome back to KLA Sports. I'm your host Kyle Alexander, and we are back with another mock off-season video. Now I know I got you guys like the Ravens mock off-season one, and so I figured, you know what, why not do my other favorite team? So today we're going to do Eagles mock off-season. So it's pretty much going to be the same thing as the Ravens video, just different things that are like different players they could sign, just different moves they can make in the off season, and how that would look. So first of all, we're going to start with how their season went. The Eagles, after was it 2 years ago, they lost to the Saints in the playoffs after Nick Foles threw an interception that was dropped by Alshon Jeffrey to seal the game. After that, the Eagles had some decision to make, so they let Nick Foles walk. And this year, Carson Wentz has actually stayed healthy the whole regular season. The Eagles, it was just the rest of the team that couldn't stay healthy, as the Eagles were plagued with a bunch of injuries, mainly to their starters. He had Alshon Jeffrey, Deshaun Jackson out for the year. Nelson Aguilar couldn't catch. He wasn't the same as he was from the Super Bowl. Zach Ertz kind of had a down year. I believe he had a rib injury, and Jason Peters was out. Then it was like the whole defense was not in a great spot. So the Eagles were looking as like, okay, what are we gonna do now? But the Eagles still had hope. You know, they had some questionable losses like the loss to the Dolphins, but they came back when it mattered, as they beat the Dallas Cowboys the second time they played in order to win the NFC East division and to make the playoffs at 9 and take the 4th seed in the NFC playoffs at 9-7. Their season will come to an end as the Seahawks were able to defeat them for a second time in the year, as Carson Wentz went out with a concussion, as Jadeveon Clowney laid a questionable hit on him. But yeah, Eagles, I give the Eagles credit, especially they had no receivers. They were talking about putting Josh McCown at receiver, and then they had Greg Ward, who was a former quarterback. So that's it. That season's in the books. So now we're going to look on to the next season in 2020 and what's to come. Alright, so right here, we're going to look at some cuts and trades to make. So before cuts and trades, the salary cap is at $40.9 million. It was. But one cut I had them do that they already did. In this video I had them releasing Nigel Bradham, which they already did. So that's already making cuts that I agree with. And another thing is, I've heard Deshaun Jackson could be a surprise trade, and I would be open to it. But at the same time, like if I'm running the Eagles, I would be open to looking for a trade partner. But at the same time, he's the best receiver, and he still has some left in the tank, and he can definitely teach younger receivers if they draft him, which we'll get into later in the video. But the first move we have is to trade Malcolm Jenkins. Now I know he's a Philadelphia fan favorite, and that a lot of people, and he's still a good role. He's still a good player. He has an important role on that defense. But Jenkins, he's a cap casualty, and he's starting to become a cap casualty. And there's rumors saying that he won't play, or not rumors, but reports have come out where he said that he won't play unless he's extended next year. And he's kind of just been falling out with the Eagles, so I say trade him. That freed up $40.7 million in cap space. Another player to trade, we're going to stay in the secondary here, is I have them trading cornerback Sidney Jones. Sidney Jones just hasn't worked out, and the Eagles need to refresh the secondary. And to be honest, Maddox is the best corner that they have. Jones he hasn't worked out, and he was a projected first round pick, and then he had that injury right around the draft draft process, so that kind of lowered his stock, and I feel like that may have set him back a little bit. But another thing is he could use a fresh start in a new environment. We see it works out a lot of times with different players, like Eric Ebron looked like the bust in Detroit, gets traded to the Colts, had a breakout year. had a breakout year with help from Andrew Luck, and now he's been playing better. So yeah, I just feel like a change of scenery for Sydney would be great. It would be great for both sides, and the Eagles will free up 1.3 million in cap space. Now another trade would be to trade Alshon Jeffrey, because that seems to be the big thing now. But it's just weird because the Eagles will free up the Eagles only free up 749.5 k in cap space because he due to Alshon Jeffrey's contract, it makes it difficult to move him. He has a $16 million cap hit, but Jeffrey's starting to regress, and he wasn't healthy last year. It's like he hasn't been like last year's his worst year on the Eagles, probably his worst year of his career. Like he hasn't been able to stay on the field. He just hasn't really been looked like himself, and the Eagles need to move on. And this would be good for both sides. But the only thing is his contract because of that cap hit and the big contract that he signed to, it kind of makes it difficult to move him. Now the cuts we have, I say Eagles cut linebacker Duke Riley, which frees up 8.2k in cap space. It's just not working out. Like he's just a role player, helps to free up a little bit more money. And also cut safety Rudy Ford, which frees up 735k. Again, like Rudy Ford, he doesn't really have a role on that team. So again, that's just freeing up some more cap space. And after cuts and trades, that brings the Eagles salary cap to 48.7 million. So now we've freed up the cap space. Now that we freed up cap space, we're going to talk about the mock trades that I have for the players I said the Eagles should trade. So in this first trade, I have the Philadelphia Eagles getting cornerback Darius Slay, as the Lions will get in return cornerback Sidney Jones, a 2020 second round pick, and a 2021 third round pick. Now Eagles getting Darius Slay. He has 1 year, $10.4 million left on his contract. So he is in need of an extension. So that may not work out with the Eagles situation as they just re-signed Carson Wentz. And Fletcher Cox has a big contract too. Not to mention Zach Ertz. But Darius Slay, he's a great corner. And he feels biggest need Philadelphia has needed since the Super Bowl run. Since the Super Bowl run. Honestly, I think he would be a great fit with the Eagles. He's a great corner. Gives the Eagles a number one corner. Like I say, he needs an extension. But Slay, he's an underrated corner. He has that big play ability. He's great at man to man. Great in breaking up passes. Like he'll be on any number one receiver like White on Rice. So that gives the Eagles a number one lockdown corner to help. Maybe he can even Maybe he can even help develop other players like Avonte Maddox or what's his face, Cravon LeBlanc. Now for the Lions' perspective, you get Sidney Jones 1 year, $1.3 million left on his deal, but they get a young corner. He's affordable. He is affordable for the 1 year. So even if it doesn't, he needs an extension. So this is giving Sidney Jones like a make or break it. It's pretty much he's on a make or break it year. And if the Lions don't think it's gonna work out, they can just let him walk. If not, then they can sign him. They can sign him to another deal. And a change of scenery will help Sidney. I think that will help him out in the long run. And he could definitely become I won't say a top corner, but he can definitely become better than what he is now. And they also get draft capital with the 2020 second round pick and the 21 third. So yeah, I think this would be a good trade for both sides. Now next up, trade number 2, have the Eagles getting wide receiver Robbie Anderson, and in return the Jets get wide receiver Alshon Jeffrey and a 2020 fourth round pick. Now Robbie Anderson is a free agent, and so that's why I feel in this situation you would definitely use a franchise tag on him. The Jets will use a franchise tag, and trade him, where his franchise tag would be $18.4 million, and this I feel like a win-win for both sides. Eagles get an outstanding deep threat. He can take the top off the defense. He would be a great fit with Wentz. You see, Wentz likes to move around the pocket, throw the deep ball. That's what the Eagles have been relying on. Like, why do you think the Eagles got Deshaun Jackson back? And we saw how that worked out in the Redskins game. Those two 50-plus yard touchdowns. Deshaun Jackson took the top off the defense, and Carson Wentz threw it deep. They used the deep ball. A deep ball is a big part of Philly's offense, and Robbie Anderson would definitely be a key piece in that. Like I said, he's on a franchise tag, so again, the Eagles will need to extend him. But yeah, I mean, the Eagles don't have the best cap situation right now, but anyway, Robbie Anderson, he deserves an extension. Now, Jets, on the other hand, they get a big body receiver, Alshon Jeffrey. He has a nice size, and he's he's regressed, but it's not like he's terrible. Like he hasn't been as elite as he was like in Chicago or that Super Bowl run. But I mean, I'd say he's still a serviceable receiver. He can definitely help Sam Darnold out in sticky situations, because that's the biggest thing for the Jets. They don't have Sam Darnold just doesn't have any help. Nobody to throw it to. I mean, yeah, Robbie Anderson, but other than that, like, they don't really have no receivers. And yeah, their receiver situation isn't that great. And Jeffrey, he's still a good possession receiver, so that helps them out. And then they get the 4th round pick. But yeah, I feel that definitely works out for both teams. All right, moving on to the third and final trade scenario that could happen. I have the Eagles getting a 2020 third round pick from the Denver Broncos. And in return, the Denver Broncos get safety Malcolm Jenkins. Now, Eagles get a draft pick. They get a good draft pick. They could turn this into a young star safety. All right, in the third round, maybe, or no, Antoine Winfield. I was thinking Antoine Winfield, but his stock is kind of going up. Same with Kyle Duggar, but maybe he's there in the third round because people are saying, oh, he played D2, so we don't know if it's going to translate yet. Because I feel like that's the main thing on Kyle Duggar is the competition. Because I mean, yeah, he's a great safety. I could definitely see him in the NFL. But I think the big question is just going to be, was he good was he just good? Like, was he just top of the top in D2, or is he actually like good enough? Like, was he only good against weaker competition, or is he actually an elite, not elite, or like a good safety? And honestly, I think he's a good safety, so that could be a possibility. Maybe even Khaleke Hudson. Maybe even Khaleke Hudson from Michigan. He was or somebody in the secondary, honestly, or they could just use it in another trade. But yeah, and the Eagles, they could find this secondary is not really a strong suit in a draft. Like, it's not really a strong position. But at the same time, you never know. Like, where you get drafted doesn't matter. So they could draft Khaleke Hudson. I could see him having a future in the NFL. Maybe not as a star safety, but definitely serviceable. And for the Broncos side, they get Malcolm Jenkins. He's on a 1 year, $7.8 million, or he has 1 year, $7.8 million left on his contract. They get a superb safety. Like I said, only 1 year left on his deal. He's a good tackler. He can play in the box. And they get and this probably isn't somebody you resign. I feel, because they're getting Justin Simmons on the franchise tag, I believe. So Denver gets him to pair up. They get Jenkins to pair up with him. They could use him as a placeholder for next year's draft or free agency. That will definitely upgrade the secondary, as we might see, as their secondary may not, or their secondary isn't that great, and the secondary is definitely going to take a step down, because I don't see Chris Harris re-signing with them. So that would be That would be a good trade for both teams, actually. All right, now on to re-signings. We got Jordan Howard. First player we got is Jordan Howard. He's a nice young running back. We saw his potential last year. We saw some flashes that he could do last year, and he's a nice duo with Miles Sanders. Now, because Jordan Howard, he is a questionable. This is a questionable re-signing because Miles Sanders, he had a great rookie season last year. So people are already everybody's already sold that he's the franchise back, which he is. He's the franchise back for the Eagles. Then you got people like Boston Scott, who's like a nice backup, and then Corey Clement. So then it's like, do you re-sign Jordan Howard or do you let him walk? Now I would see it as they let him test free agency. Like I would say let Jordan Howard test free agency. Throw him an offer. If he doesn't accept it, then you still got Miles Sanders. So I want to say Jordan Howard, like, maybe not like, I want to say Jordan Howard's like your number one priority is like, oh, if we don't get Jordan Howard, then like we gotta, it's not like, oh, we gotta lock him down. Like, throw an offer at him. It would be nice to re-sign him so that you can have that duo of him and Miles Sanders because they were a pretty good duo last year. But if you don't re-sign him, you have Miles Sanders and Boston Scott, Corey Clement. Another re-sign we have is linebacker Camus Grugier-Hill. He's a good linebacker, good tackler. He's been a nice rotational player, but I believe he's mainly a special teamer. So Eagles he's really stepped up last year as a linebacker. And I would like to have him back. Just be like I said, a rotational player, get tackles, and like stop the run and stuff like that. And another player, the last re-signing I have them, or the last re-signing is going to be cornerback Jalen Mills. Now I know he hasn't been the same since the Super Bowl run, but Jalen Mills, his best strong suit is tackling. His coverage needs improvement. But it's not like he's terrible in coverage. His coverage is pretty decent. Now, this is another thing I've heard from a couple people. Well, I mainly heard this from another YouTuber named C4. You should check him out. Big Madden YouTuber who's an Eagles fan. But he's been saying this for the longest. His thing is to move Jalen Mills to safety. And honestly, I could see that. Like I say, he's a great tackler. I feel like zone coverage is where he's best suited at. Because that man coverage isn't his best strong. Like, man coverage isn't, he's not that great in it. Like, because zone coverage is his strong suit in terms of coverage. And he's a good tackler. I would just move him to safety, see how it works out, and because again, a position switch could help turn the player's career around. A position switch could help turn a player's career around. We saw this happen with Byron Jones on the Dallas Cowboys. He was a corner. He started to look like a bust. Then, changed made the switch. Or no, he was a safety. Excuse me, he was a safety. Started to look like a bust, made the switch from safety to corner, and that one year became a lockdown corner, became one of the top corners in the league, and now he's one of the top free agents in this upcoming free agency class. Who the Eagles are? There's rumors that the Eagles are starting to look at him. So yeah, maybe move Jalen Mills to safety. He becomes a lockdown, shutdown safety. Who knows? That's it for my re-signings. Now, time to free agency. These are 3 key free agents or 3 big free agents that the Eagles should go after. And the first one up is cornerback Logan Ryan. This one's been rumored a lot. He's superb in coverage and pass breakups. He's great in pass breakups. He's good at getting his arm in there and his hand in there and just breaking up the pass at the last minute. He has a nice arm length, and he's a pretty good tackler. Yeah, like 79 tackles, 70 something tackles, which I say that's good for a corner. But another thing is he is 29 years old. I think that's the only negative about him. But even then, he's still a great corner, and that would be a great pickup for the Eagles. Next up, they cut Nigel Bradham, so they need a linebacker. So I would say again, this has been rumored. go after Joe Schobert from the Cleveland Browns. He's an amazing tackler. He's honestly he's most underrated linebacker. I remember when Cleveland was like 0 and I think when Cleveland was 0-16 or they only won 1-15, something like 2-3 years ago. He was their only Pro Bowler. Like he was literally. I remember I saw him in a Pro Bowl. I was like, "There's a Cleveland guy in a Pro Bowl," and I was like, "All right, Joe Schobert." And I looked at him. I was like, "He's a pretty good linebacker. He can get pressure on the QB. He's good with blitzes and getting pressure on the QB, putting them in the bad plays or bad situations, getting sacks, and that would be good. I think again that fits Philly's system. Philly likes to blitz with the linebackers. Not a lot. They like to blitz with the linebackers every now and then. He's great in coverage. Nice at covering that middle, shutting it down, and most likely won't return to Cleveland. That's the thing. There have been rumors or there's speculation that most people are certain that Joe Schobert and Cleveland won't be reaching a deal. That he won't be staying in Cleveland. And he's only 26 years old. So Philly, go after him. Y'all just cut Nigel Bradham, so y'all need a linebacker. Get him. And the last player we're going to take a look at is safety Anthony Harris. Again, this has probably been one of the bigger rumors. He has a nice vertical, and he has great instincts too. I remember that one. What was it? That play against Seattle, he had the pick six where Russell Wilson threw it and got batted, and Russell Wilson tried to bat it down. Harris Harris was just like, all right, it's not gonna be a bad. Harris just saw a beeline for the ball and was like, oh, try and make a play out of this. Comes in, boom, scoops it up out of the air and takes it back to the house. He's great in coverage. He's great at covering that deep ball, and he's just he can come up and make tackles too. And he's 28 years old. Harris had a great season last year. I know Minnesota's going to try hard to pursue him, but Eagles go after Anthony Harris. They may not have enough because they do have Stephon Diggs, Kirk Cousins, Adam Thielen on big contracts. Then they got to pay. Then they're going to have to pay Dalvin Cook soon. I think Kyle Rudolph still has a pretty big contract too. Xavier Rose. And Anthony Barr just signed one, so yeah, they're not in the best situation. So if I'm Philly, I'm gonna go after them. Now, the final thing for this Eagles mock offseason is going to be the draft. This is a mock draft I did on the Draft Network, and it's just been this is a 7-round mock draft I did with the Eagles. Now, first round, you took Justin Jefferson, wide receiver from LSU. Eagles need a receiver. They need a deep threat. I know Henry Ruggs has been the main one. That's been Eagles. Everyone remembers the Eagles going to take Henry Ruggs at number one, and the Eagles are actually pursuing. Like I just saw some saying the Eagles are going to possibly look to trade up to get Henry Ruggs. But in this mock draft, Ruggs was already taken, so I took Jefferson. We saw what he did in college with Joe Burrow. We saw what he did in college with Joe Burrow. He's a good route runner, nice speed. He can stop on the dime, and he can take the top off the defense too. And if I'm Philly, and he's still there. Like your first option Ruggs is gone, so Justin Jefferson's still on the board. I'm gonna take him, and with a healthy Carson Wentz, that can be a good duo. All right, in the second round, I got Troy Dye linebacker from Oregon. Now this one, like I said, you need a linebacker. Now maybe in this one you sign Joe Schobert. You can move Dye to outside, but yeah, Dye he's a good linebacker. He's definitely one of the top 5 in this draft. It's not a strong linebacker class, so you got the top 3 taken. Got the top 3 taken. And Simmons, Murray, and Queen. So Dye's there. Take him. He's good in coverage. He can come up and make tackles. He's a good linebacker. He can definitely use improvement. But I think in that Philly system, I feel like the Philly system, he could definitely be a good linebacker for the Eagles. In the third round, I had him taking Troy Pride Jr. from Notre Dame. Pride, this is just like or I wouldn't say Philly, this is like another need. You get him that just to add to the corners in case you need, just to add to the corners because that is a big need. And this is like, if you don't get, and this is if you don't get Darius Slay or Logan Ryan, or maybe you get Logan Ryan and they have Avonte Maddox. Probably can definitely be a understudy. He's 5'11", 194. So he has pretty good size. He doesn't fit that mold of the new tall corner, but he's definitely a good corner, and this would be a good value pick for the Eagles. All right, late in the fourth round, I had him taking Kalike Hudson from Michigan. He's not a bad safety. I feel he could be a project. Work on him, get him to improve. But he's a good tackler. He's decent in coverage, and I believe working with Peterson, he could definitely become a better safety. Or even if they don't trade Malcolm Jenkins and he's still there, he can learn from Jenkins, who has been one of the better safeties the last couple years in the league, and that can definitely help Kalike Hudson to become a starting caliber safety for the Eagles and the league. All right, so next pick, I had them. This is interesting. I had him taking Khalil Tate from Arizona, and he was a good quarterback. He had last year he had a breakout season, or not this past year, but the year before he had a great year, and then he kind of just fell out. He kind of just fell out of the media. But Tate, he's a good playmaker. He's a nice dual threat. The playmaking's there. Have him be the backup. This is just so you have the backup for Wentz. Okay, this is the insurance. Okay, so Wentz can teach him the throwing mechanics and stuff. And Tate, he can throw the ball. He's not a bad thrower. It's just if you have Wentz teach you, pick up some stuff from him, you can become better, and he can definitely become a great insurance plan if something was to happen to Carson Wentz. All right, next up we have Shaquille Quarterman from Miami. Again, this is a linebacker need. Now, he's kind of fallen off too. I remember a lot of people had him high on the boards, and then he just fell way deep into the draft. And Quarterman, he's a good tackler. His coverage is iffy, so I would use Quarterman as a rotational player. Have him be in some blitz packages and stuff like that, and that could be again like a little project to work with. And this could definitely be a good value pick for the Eagles, just to help fill that need at linebacker. And with the last pick in the draft, I had the Eagles taking Antonio Gandy-Golden from the wide receiver from Liberty. Now, Antonio Gandy-Golden had a great season with Liberty, but the Senior Bowl is what put him on the map, or that kind of brought him up more in terms of the media. He's a nice big body receiver, 6'4", and he's got some speed too. The combine just happened. His 40 time was 4.4, and Golden he would be a great steal for any team. He would be a great steal. Eagles get him late in the draft. That would be a great pickup for a team that needs receivers. And honestly, I could see him being a starter. Have Jefferson on one side, Golden on the other, and then or maybe have Golden in the slot, or have him be like number 3 receiver, and then and then when Deshaun Jackson retires, or if Jackson's gone, put Golden at the outside as the other number 2 receiver. That could be a great duo for the Eagles. Justin Jefferson and Antonio Gandy-Golden with Carson Wentz there. He's a good route runner, great pass catcher. And if I'm the Eagles and he's sitting there late in the draft, I'm going to take him. Alright, so that is it for the Eagles mock offseason. Let me know in the comment section below if you agree with these picks, or if you agree with the with some of the moves I made. Also, let me know what you would do if you're the Eagles. If you were the Eagles GM, who you would go after, who you would trade for, like who you would draft or whatever or whatnot. And yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. I wanted to try to do this for every team, but seeing as free agency, I think the free agency period opens March 15th. It's March 1st, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna have the time to do every other team. So yeah, it's gonna. I mean, I might. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm gonna have the time to do every other team. You know, still with school and stuff. I mean, I'll see about it, but most likely it probably won't happen. But yeah, it's gonna be it for this episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll talk to you guys next time.